Entire broadcast goes out to the birthday young lady down around East Arkansas. Miss LaShonda.
That was not
Miss LaShonda Ellis. Happy birthday, young lady.
here I am. I'm asking you to please forgive me for the wrong that I've done. 1 John 1 and 9 says, if I confess my sin, you're faithful and just to forgive me of my sin. You will cleanse me from all unrighteousness. So here I am, Lord, and I need you to do it again. Yes. Romans 3 and 23 says, all have sinned and come short of your glory. I'll be first to admit that somewhere, so many times, I failed you, Jesus. Not only that, but I've even made mistakes that some may never forgive. But that's why I gotta have you, Jesus. And I need your grace and mercy to help me change the way that my flesh desires to live. And I know I'm not by myself. True harvests are here with me. Just to say, and we need, and we want to say, please forgive us for the wrong that we've done. Yes, Lord, we're sorry. We admit it. Yes, we did it.
You remember on the first day we went over the first people that the companies start laying off?
Yeah.
Who's the first group?
The people who don't bring in any money for the company.
And who's the first department?
Cybersecurity.
Yep. IT's the first.
Okay, we're on there live.
Okay. And the second,
One second. So hold.
IT's first, second is marketing.
Pause for a second.
How marketing not bringing in money? What's your marketing not bringing?
Your sales bringing money, your marketing are expenses.
Spending the money.
Yep.
That's how you really not doing much.
Nah, you're not.
Doing,
You gotta be something there for you to even protect. Anyway.
We've been on live the entire time.
No, not really.
Okay.
Okay, hello everybody. This is Time to Consider. Welcome to the broadcast. Happy to have you here with us. I'm Melvin Moss, your host, and we are starting an inaugural journey with this discussion. We're going to be talking about things that you don't know, that you didn't know, but you need to know. And we're talking with several young, gifted black men. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll go from there. Let's start this side and then work our way around.
Okay, my name is Cameron. I'm currently a student at the University of Arkansas at Palm Bluff. I'm getting my master's in computer science, and I'm thankful to be here today.
Okay.
all right, my name is Jeremy Gray. The same. I'm a master's graduate student for UAPB. Same major and disabled veteran.
I'm Donarian Gray. I go to the University of Arkansas Palm Bluff as well. I'm a graduate student, computer science. Also a veteran for the Air Force. That's all.
My name is Andre Cook. I am the CEO of Iron Hand. We have locations here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and also Mexico City, Mexico.
And also to tag in on that, I just so happen to be an intern that works for Mr. Andre at Iron Hair Technology and Consulting.
That's true.
Great,
You're doing very
great,
well, too.
great. Now, it's going to take me a minute, folks, to get everybody relaxed and ready to really express their thoughts. They were really having a good time before we went live. Some of you were able to pick up some of those discussions, so that's great. So let's start off with this idea of what you don't know. What does that mean when you don't know something? What impact can it have on you when you don't know something? Anybody can talk, so we go.
Well, excuse me. What was the first thing we talked about? First day.
Uh,
Very first day.
First day when I came, man, I'm telling him everything I know. He's like, listen, before you even start, I just want you to know you don't know anything. You don't know nothing. And as much as I tried to go against it, I started talking about everything, bringing up old classes, organizations, and everything. And once we actually started going into everything, I realized I didn't know anything, especially about the technology world.
But you thought you knew something.
Yeah.
You thought you knew why?
Because the money I paid for school, just all them classes and courses going out. But the regimen for the school is not built on the workforces now. I think it's a little bit outdated. There's certain improvements to be made.
Okay. So you went to school, spent a lot of money, and you thought you had what you needed, and you were set to go and ready to go out and make your fortune.
Yes, sir. I wouldn't say it wasn't a disadvantage or like big on outbreak. I would say the biggest thing, I think school is a great resource. I just think the way that they're teaching it should be adjusted to what's going on in today's.
Well, we're gonna get to that, but I just want to kind of hone in on the things we don't know, but we need to know, because we're going through life with the idea that people are telling us things, and we're assuming that they're telling us things we need to know. But sometimes it's things that not necessarily in our best interest, or they leave out the things that we really need to know, and we don't know that until we get somewhere and go.
I think there's more so when you dealing with people older than you that's gone through it. We like to let life teach instead of just telling you everything, or you'll find out later on. It's kind of like parenthood. When we got our kids, we say, "Oh, you'll understand when you get older," instead of just telling them, "Hey, this is exactly how it is. How do we do it?"
Well, that's interesting. That's a culture thing that we can get to later as it relates to the African Americans maybe and others. Thanks for all of you who are watching us via the Time to Consider Network and YouTube. We're on YouTube now. Thanks, you Shamel and Ms. Ismail has chimed in. One of our partners in collaboration with our work on Time to Consider Network and other projects and so many others. So hopefully we'll be able to pick up some questions and some comments on the channel, YouTube channel.
Right.
I've got the expert guru to my left here, and he'll be able to help me through that. Go ahead, let's continue.
Right?
So anything else? How about you? What's your thoughts on that? Things you don't know that you don't know.
I would say being familiar with the keyboard as far as, for instance, language, like programming language. I say just being more open to knowing what type of languages use certain type of being familiar with the different type of languages they use, different types of buttons on the keyboard in general. So
There was somebody sent a question in about that, not knowing how to talk the language as it relates to conversations. You're there, you know what's going on, but people are talking, and they're talking in terms that they understand that you don't understand. And you thought you knew, but you really don't know.
So you're referring to syntax language.
yes, of course.
There's times, I'll be honest with you, there's times when we're programming a platform or an app and we're typing something, we're thinking we're in one language or really it's the other, and we confuse them. And if you know like 5 or more different languages, they start blurring together.
Yeah.
But no, you're 100% correct. That never goes away. But in regards to our conversation, your first week, what's the difference between what you learned in the first week and then what you learned in your 4 years?
Now, the difference is, I'll say the more so the apps and networks that you should even be using. Like a lot of stuff that we use in school is not even workforce. They're not even using it. Or it's not necessarily that, like they're teaching you certain languages, but it's not the languages that are going to get you a job, pretty much. You don't understand the talk. You don't know how to go in. Another thing, projects. With work in school, the way they teach it as an assignment. Pretty much, since I've been working with him for the past 2 weeks, he taught me that this is how actual projects are going to be ran. This is going to be your due date, your timeline, and everything. See, in school, you don't get all that. It's an assignment turn in, but you don't have teams. You don't have nobody else looking over it. It's just.
Well, that to me, that's the new age progressive education. Now, in the old days, back in my time, back in the dinosaur days, you did have some timelines. You did have some responsibility. You did have accountability more so. The teachers, primarily if you were in an African American community, black community, the black teachers knew that if you were going to be successful, they had to push you. They had to set hard targets for you and accountability. So they were on you to do that. Now the new way of teaching, they just kind of let you come in there and assume that you're hungry enough to know what you don't know and pursue it. But you don't even know what you don't know, so what can you pursue? When we first met, we talked about this. So what do you do when you don't know something and you don't know you know it?
So, primary exercise that we're working on now, the assignment that I gave to Dinarian is, okay, create me a bookstore application. How? Well, you need to create a database. I don't know how to create a database. You need to program it in PHP. Because my server only uses PHP, so now he has to learn PHP. Oh yeah, you have to incorporate Bootstrap. Well, what is Bootstrap?
jQuery.
Yes, you need to add some jQuery in there so the application can run seamlessly. Well, what is jQuery? So now, how do you begin doing it? How do you know to even do that? So that's what he's doing now.
The key is he's asking. He wants to know enough that he is asking the right questions. Well, if he came to you and you would think, oh, you went to grad school, you should know this and you should know all of this. But we talked on it and I did projects, but I don't know necessarily this language, and that might be the language that is used in the workforce. But the ideal is there.
So in the real world, and we're going to be using that term a lot, so excuse me if it gets annoying. When you have a customer or a client or an employer, they will say, make this happen. And they're going to expect you to do it in an allotted amount of time. It is up to you to figure out how to get that done within the framework or using the equipment that they give you or that they have available. But they won't know how to do it. And a lot of times you start learning, they don't even know what they want.
I ran into that problem too.
So let me, while you're talking, the comment is we want you to speak a little louder because we need to pick you up. And since we don't have your mic individual, that we just have to use a little bit more volume.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I ran into that issue. I had a supervisor, I had a team lead that was getting ready to retire, and then there's me fresh out of getting my undergrad to figure out how to do databases and make a web page. Well, I don't know any of that. Well, we'll give you this team lead, and my team lead is telling me when they're there, because they're about to get ready to retire, they're using up all their time. Like, hey, our supervisor don't know how to do any of this. So ask me all the questions you gotta ask, because once I'm gone, you can't ask them. So
Right.
it's how do we figure that into when we are going through school and just trying to figure out like the workforce part of it. I don't think we focus enough on it. It's just, hey, here's the ideal. So how do we take that ideal and say, hey, let's put it into real world applications?
Well, that's part of what this is part of this discussion is. Of course, we're leaning heavy into your educational process, but what we're talking about is life. And so you're fortunate, but it's countless individuals out there right now, especially black males, who are going through this very same thing. They're very frustrated about what they're supposed to know. They don't know, and then of course when they go to the workforce, they don't tell you you don't know. Now he's fortunate to have a mentor that's talk straight to him and sit him down and say, look, you really don't know anything. Let's see if we can help you do it. And he was fortunate enough that he was still hungry. He hadn't been beaten down, worn down, and frustrated that he don't care. Why I spent all this time, all this money? I'm just going. Well, you say you go back to the army, huh? So we're going. We want to spend a little more time on the education, but then we want to apply it to life itself because it does line up together pretty much. Andre is working on a big project for us for Time to Consider. And what he's saying is real life because there's a lot of things that I envision that I want, and I tell him what I want, but he's got to create it. And so he's working through all of these various scenarios to try to create something that I'm looking to happen in terms of his expertise.
Okay, so let's give a primary example of this, okay? Okay. Your name? Jeremy. We at Time to Consider, we want to expand our customer base, and we would like to increase our revenue. We think the best way to do that would be to create a platform that works like Netflix. Create that.
Do you have any idea what platform?
That's your job.
That is my job.
You
Okay.
gotta figure that out.
All right. Do I have anybody to work with?
You got whatever you have. You're in the business to do it, and so now you're going to have the
I have to go in
the wherewithal.
Use what I know.
Right, and all other things. But one of the things that I learned when I was growing up is to know how to work. And so there are young men today that really don't know how to work. They are waiting to be assigned things. And so you have to be hungry. You have to be in pursuit of. That's what the Constitution said. You know, you're endowed with inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of. And I think one of the things I'm seeing with our young men and others as well, but I'm focused on young men today, young, gifted, and black, is that we're not in pursuit of excellence. We're not in pursuit of the best that we can get. We don't even know. Well, the best, what is the best? What we talked about that the other day. What's the best to you guys? What is the best of life to you?
I would say the best is.
You got to speak up because remember, we got people listening. They leaning over trying to listen to you.
The best, it just depends on what you're used to. To me, you might be used to the dirt, and the best is a little rain to come in. So you have to have that hunger instilled into you to even know what it takes to go to the next level. What does the next level look like? To me, it might be going from $2,000 a month to $3,000 a month, or this level of job to up here. So it has to be defined by the person that's actually doing the running, because you can't run for anybody.
Yeah, I also say it goes back to saying how hungry you are. Like you just need to just network with people and it just goes off nepotism. Like just becoming like a backbone for one another, especially in the African American community. with just society in general. Like we just need to, be the backbone.
Travel and
And,
exposure.
yeah, and ask
Exposure.
people.
That's
yeah,
good. Yeah.
Ask people things that you might not know that you can, help possibly.
I was just thinking about it. As I've said, I'm just going to relate some life things with you. When we're little kids, I have 4 daughters. So one of the things you find with children is they're constantly asking, they're constantly asking, what do you get normally in certain, boy, shut up, be quiet, stop. And so we kind of are taught, in some situations, taught not to ask, right? So we get into that. So we've got to change that concept. What else?
Success for me would be just being the best in your career. Find out money, like you said, exposure, traveling, trying to be on top of the game. But like you said, certain things that you wouldn't know or don't know, it's kind of hard. Because I know for me, like, not even just going back from education standpoint, but trying to find jobs. Well, first you need to find out what is it that you actually want to do before you can even be good at it. I think sometimes having so many options is the reason, because I know like when you try to do 5 to 6 things, you never really can be good at really one thing. Like I was speaking on it when people was like, well, you can have a good life, you can do this. I'm a firm believer something gonna have to give. If you want to be great, you gotta lose something. You might not think you are, but you lose, whether that's family time, that's going out time, that's traveling. You're not gonna get it all. You just gotta be okay and accept that you're gonna lose this. Which I came down to maybe I'm gonna lose a little friends and a little family time because I'm gonna be trying so hard or stuck to my laptop thinking ways. Like I'm constantly searching. Like I was going back and forth software development, cybersecurity. Well, how can I do this? Well, how can I be that? First thing I seen was try to find help desk. I know most people, I seen a correlation that most people who start off in cybersecurity end up in help desk. So I'm like, well, let me apply here. I just kept applying. It was crazy. The intern that I have now, I maybe applied to probably 25 other places before I got this.
Okay, good. Make sure turn your chair a little bit. So we're getting some good feed. They want to see your face. Okay, anybody else?
Okay, so let me address your guys' points here and the original challenge that I gave you. What I've learned with my travels.
Those glasses are close. Yeah, thank you. Good.
We as black people don't seem to have learned the technique of true problem solving as a architectural problem solving type of technique, strategies, etc. What usually happens with us, we face an issue. Oh, how am I going to pay my rent? Oh, well, I need to hurry up and get this done to pay my rent, right?
Correct.
But we're thinking short term. We're thinking my rent is due, is coming. Versus, okay, how do I solve it in the long term to where I no longer have to worry about paying the rent? And throughout our history, we just simply haven't had the time or the experience, the education, etc., to know how to apply those techniques, right? So in regards to the Netflix, so I'm wrapping my point. In regards to the Netflix challenge, right? So at first, you're thinking, okay, what software do I need? How do I code it? But you're thinking in that type of terminology. Our problem, us as black people, you face an issue that you need to solve, you're going from here to where your solution is solved. So you're going, okay, I have a problem, I need to solve that problem. Okay, what's the next problem? I need to solve that. Instead, what we need to do is, what is it that we want to arrive at? What's the product that we need to arrive at? What does that look like? And then we address what we want the solution to look like. And then we need to work our way backwards. Because that will then address all of the problems and issues that you will be facing along the way. That's what we don't do and what we need to do ultimately. We don't think in the long term.
Okay. This is again, this is time to consider, and we are having a discussion, just kind of leading into it right now. We've got some time. We're going to take a break in a little bit, and we're going to come back. By that time, hopefully, you will have notified some young people and some friends and some young men, young ladies who may want to chime in and also offer some input and suggestions as well. But I think this is a discussion that we need to consider. Things that we don't know, we don't know, but we need to know them. And so how do you get there? And we've talked about mostly centered around our educational mechanism, because we have been encouraged to pursue our educational pursuit. With that, we are expected to be able to achieve and experience the best outcome that life has to offer. So we're finding, and you may have heard this as well, maybe it hadn't been shared with you or through your children, you're spending $20,000 a year to help your son or daughter get through school, and they're not telling you, I don't think I'm getting nothing out of this, right? Have you ever eaten something and you realize whatever it is you're supposed to be getting out of it, you wasn't getting nothing out of it? You wasted your money? What do you do? Throw it away. Okay, any other, just kind of wrap up this segment, any other thoughts that we want to relate to and talk about? As it relates to the things, we've got some questions that have been submitted. You guys have a couple of things. But the center thing to start off with, how many young, gifted black men do you think that are out there today in your category, you guys in within the age of 20 and 30, 31, 32, that are stumbling around right now just trying to decide, what do I do? I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, I was hopeful, and I've gotten somewhere, and I'm finally coming to, matter of fact, the real question was that Denarian, is it Denarian?
Yeah,
Dynamic. That started was, you don't know that, so when you go to get a job, they don't tell you, you're not going to hire him, because he don't know nothing. He think he knows something, but we're not going to tell him. So you keep applying, and what does that do to you? You keep getting rejected.
If you're getting rejected without reason, it's a little discouraging, because where am I failing, so I can at least ask the question to overcome those failures. So I can see that being really, really discouraging, and that could turn you into another direction that you was maybe avoiding, or that's pretty much the hard part.
That's constantly telling you, wasting your time, man, come on, hang out with us, we can do this, we can do that. Or a lot of young men move into relationships trying to escape mediocrity. So they get with a good relationship, they get a partner, and they pursue life that way, thinking, my partner and I will be able to. But that also comes with its own things you don't know that you don't know. Because how much do we know about relationships? and what we need to know that we don't know. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Anything else?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are biases in the workforce. So, for example, in our field, there's not as many black people in our field. I face the same issue that you guys are facing. My first name is Russell. That could be any race. My middle name is Andre. What race is most likely named Andre? So, and your name, what's your name?
Down here.
Okay. So,
like, I don't know.
if we apply for a position where there's not as many of us in that position, and this group has a bias already that's pre-made against us because there's not as many of us in those fields, so they don't know if we are knowledgeable of the subject, what would be the incentive to even give us a shot or hire us?
I mean, I would just think you would just have to be 2 to 3 times better. I always tell people the biggest disadvantage you can give yourself. to telling yourself you got a fair chance, because you don't. If you walk in there, my goal, I remember even like spelling, if I seen somebody, I mean just put it out, but when I seen other people or other kids, even family, like knew my mom had to work extra shifts. I said I was taking it out on them, but my whole point was to crush you, just because I knew your family could be there, just to see it. Like it, with me, like my certain thing is the drive, compassion. Like I lost my dad, so with me having to go through school, working a night shift, being in the military, and also having a second job, and then watching other people complain and say you can't find a way, I just hate people like that. Like for me, it's just hard to see somebody. My uncle used to always say to me, "You can always bend, but you should never break." And I just took it and ran with it.
Okay, well that's a good. Good. I was liking. What's your name again?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. I was liking Jeremy's perspective because what you're saying is absolutely correct. And matter of fact, everything we're saying is in context. Is your perspective. So it's the journey that you've been on and the things that you have in your bag of knowledge, and then the things that you don't have. So your perspective is like, I'm happy where I am. This is all I got. I'm from a little town in Tupelo somewhere. And life to me is this. When I was a young boy, Little Rock, the little area in Little Rock was the world to me. And it wasn't until I started being able to get out to what we call West Little Rock that I realized that was a whole nother world in the Little Rock.
Yeah.
And then I expanded from there and then went on and began to go other places. And that's why I realized that exposure to life in the best context is an educational process. And that's something we didn't get. How many places did you've been in the military?
Okay. We both have.
Both have. So did y'all get to go on a tour somewhere, or just most local?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. And so when you talk to your friends who stayed and didn't get to go anywhere, what's the difference in how you see things from your perspective?
I could see the mentality is different. Because now I have a hunger that's way up here because I want to keep seeing those type of things, being exposed to those type of areas. So I got to go to Europe. I got to go to Italy, Venice, in Germany. I got to go to New Mexico. That's why I was able to ask him about, how was his time in Mexico. I think that helped me a lot to see like the way people live there, the way I got to live being there, and then coming home. I don't want to live like how I used to live. I want to keep elevating. But like I said, travel and exposure was the two things that really put that into me, because I get to watch the kids now and that they haven't been anywhere, and that area is their life. They've never been anywhere else.
Yeah.
Gosh, go ahead.
I would say like feeling some type of fulfillment, like you said, like you would want to go out, travel, and see just new things in general. But yeah, I like your topic, which you pretty much said.
Absolutely. Any further final thoughts? We're going to take a quick break.
He pretty much hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, well, we're going to come back in just a moment, and we're going to take a quick break. I want to invite you, if you're watching the broadcast on Time to Consider Network or on YouTube, Time to Consider Network, it's Time to Consider .org. I want you to invite your people that you think might be interested in hearing the discussion, and also maybe chime in. Should be able to leave some comments on YouTube for sure, and we're going to find out exactly that. Like I said, I've got my tech guru to my left here, Andre Croft, and let's go back around and say your name again so we can take a break.
Cameron.
Jeremy.
Donarian.
Andre.
Okay. We're going to try to take a break here. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch to go to our Studio 1, where there is our radio broadcast. It's Drive Quartet Corner with Deacon Robert Craig. So we'll be coming back in just a moment. Here's some good quartet music, and we'll be right back with Young, Gifted, and Black. This is Time to Consider. Be right back.
Encourage you. to check out Pastor Larry Holmes Jr. Hey, he's a young man. I'm trying to tell you now, he's a young man, and he has a great catering business. He's an entrepreneur. He's going under the heading of home style cooking. Yeah, he's located in Searcy, Arkansas. Hey, get at him at area 501-388-7050. Now get this menu now. He's got some wings. Hey, Bonds, of course, he's got some wings anywhere from a 10-piece all the way to a 100-piece. Now, they won't let me do it, Miss Leanna, like I used to do it, but I used to go whole a light about half of those wings, but they won't let me eat like that no more, Miss Leanna. So, yeah, but I can eat at least 10. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little ranch dressing, and yeah, I can eat at least 10. You know what I'm saying? But he's got burgers, and he's got some Boston butts. He's got some smoked leg quarters and slab of ribs, and Miss Leanna, I can eat a slab of ribs by myself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, gizzards, and hey, he's got Frito pies. He's got what you need. Yeah, as a matter of fact, he's busy throughout the week as well as the weekend. So, hey, listen, if you got a event coming up, and you don't feel like cooking, washing dishes, and straightening up pots and pans and all of that, hey, I encourage you to call Pastor Larry Holmes Jr. He's at, once again, area 501-388-7050. He's the proud pastor of the Hickory Plains. Yeah, Hickory Plains, now proud pastor of the Pleasant Ridge Baptist Church there in Hickory Plains, Arkansas. I want to thank Pastor Larry Holmes for his sponsorship. Yeah, he's sponsoring Drive Time Live as well as Quartet Corner. Thank you, sir. He's located in Searcy, Arkansas. He's catering. He'll come to you. He'll do a setup, and yeah, you'll be glad. Yeah, when that grease gets popping, yeah, he's got them wings and everything. Hey, call him up at area 501-388-7050. Whatever you do, make sure when you call him, say, hey, I heard Brother Craig on Joinette Radio talking about him. Yeah, talking about you, brother. Hey, listen, also, for those of you that are in the market for an automobile, I highly encourage you, if you got to tap your hood 4 or 5 times and got to go get some, jumper cables and all that to start your ride up, and, hey, it's getting springtime now. I know you're ready to let that top down, and, yeah, I don't have too much hair up here to blow, but, just let that drop down, let that down, and just ride around, listen to Joinette Radio. Hey, I got a young man named Mr. Fred Lee. He's at Riser Ford Lincoln. He's up around Hot Springs, Arkansas. And if you need your nice, dependable ride, I'm not talking about some 1976. I'm talking about 2024. He's got Lincolns and Riser Ford Lincoln. And, you just call him up. He got what you need. Now, if you got some few bumps on your credit, don't worry about that. Yeah, don't worry about that now. I'm saying he can get it done. He can get the job done. I'm talking about Mr. Fred Lee, and y'all call him up and say, hey, Mr. Lee, I heard Brother Craig talking about how wonderful your sales is, and he's got nice inventory. Hey, Hot Springs is a beautiful city, so go on up and just sit down in the lobby and just enjoy yourself while he does everything for you, and he'll come back and give you some keys and say, I got you approved. Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah, all you need to hear is I got you approved, and make sure that payment is where you want it, and he'll turn all that around for you. Very pleasant good afternoon to Mr. David Talley of the Talley Boys. Good afternoon to you, sir. And good afternoon to Mr. Devon Womack. Yeah, we're getting prepared to go down to Montgomery, Alabama, going down to Bama style, and going to be with my buddy, Mr. Devon Womack, Premier Gospel Music Awards. Looking forward to going down to that area. Also, hey, listen, Gloucester, Mississippi. I want to send a shout out to all of those friends and families in that area. Good afternoon to you, Miss Natasha Wilson. Good afternoon to you, young lady, and I hope you're feeling better. And, we're going down for the Premier Gospel Music Awards. Mr. Womack has put my name down as one of the promoters, as well as a radio personality, so certainly we're going down to be with a friend. Yes, we are. Hey, 20 minutes before the top of the hour, Miss Veronica Hopper. 20 minutes away from 4 p.m., we're still here, aren't we? Oh, yeah. I know they wrote you off, said you were gone. Yeah.
I like that, y'all.
Y'all check us out on the TV side. I certainly would appreciate it. Send a shout out once again to Mr. Pastor Melvin Moss. TimeToConsider.org.
Heartaches, I've had my share of heartaches. of God that I'm still here today. He was always there, no matter what came my way. A very present help in my time of need, standing right there just to see about me. Oh, I made it, y'all. One more day, y'all. The Lord kept his arms around me. It hasn't been easy, no. I made it, I made it, I made it, I made it, made it, made it, made it, yeah. Oh, kept me here. And I just want y'all to know this tonight. I made it. I made it. Well, yes, I made it. I'm still here. I'm still here. There were a lot of folks said that I wouldn't be here tonight, but I made it. I made it. By the grace of God, y'all. Yes, I made it. I'm still here. I'm still here. Yes, I am. I had to lay awake in the midnight hour sometimes, tossing and turning all night long. Have anybody ever had to lay awake all night long sometimes? I'm still here. Tears in your eyes, wondering what the next day was gonna bring. But God kept his arms around you. Yes, he did. You made it through your trials. You're still here tonight. Come on and let me see those hands in the air tonight. I made it. 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 Yeah. I'm still here, y'all.
Quartet Corner Radio Ministry broadcast, Doug Williams, William Brothers.
Still here.
I'm still here. Oh, yes, I am. Very pleasant good afternoon to, once again, Elder Jermaine Hawkins and the beautiful Mrs. Michelle Hawkins. Good afternoon to all of you down in the bayou, down around Louisiana, and great couple down there, couple of sweet folks. And, we had a...
Certain way you gotta implement it into a certain program. But that's basically what I'm trying to say. I don't know how I'm really gonna convey it or just getting it across.
Just throw tech out the way.
Yeah, throw
Just
tech
throw
out. I think
out
you
the
still
way.
thinking
Okay.
about school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he changed it to like life.
Yeah,
Like what's
okay,
something
yeah.
like you got a credit card?
Yeah.
How did you know about getting a credit card? Or did you know, like, was you nervous when it was your first time getting it or buying it? Like, because you didn't know what was going to happen.
What did it tell you to do with it when you got it?
When you got it.
Or you just got it?
Or like autos. Like, did you know how to loan? Did you know maybe if you had like maybe a Navy Federal or you went to a different bank and it would have been cheaper? Or maybe you got somebody else.
like so, hey, this is a question.
Real life.
I wanted to know.
You see that truck I got out there? I'm talking about a lower loan.
He wants to know.
Did you know you can borrow against your 401k?
What is that? Did you know you could put out what's that one like when a person is it's not like their past like it's like a death thing. But you can get it while you're living. I did not know that.
Oh, not the death benefit.
Well, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Now you see, they're loosening up and they go back to robots. But this is Time to Consider. I'm Melvin Moss, and I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. This is a discussion. Hopefully it's not the only one. We'll have several others, but this young, gifted, and black men. And so we're talking about right now things that we don't know, that we didn't know that we don't know, but we need to know. And I hope that you are, hopefully that you're being involved in the conversation, thinking about it. And I hope if you got young black men or young black young ladies there, they'll be thinking about some things that they need to know and be a part of the discussion. You can watch us on timetoconsider.org or on both Facebook and YouTube Live, and also on our Time to Consider Network channel. This broadcast will be rebroadcast in the next few days, where we will be running our broadcast 24 hours a day along with other programming. So we hope you'll go and check out our website and our network. We've got some exciting things we're hoping to introduce you in the coming weeks as well. So give us give us an opportunity to hopefully share the exposure of life itself. So let these young men introduce themselves again. Let's go this way this time.
Okay. So I'm Andre Cook. I'm the owner of Iron Hand. It's a technology and consulting firm out of Arkansas, and we also have locations in Mexico City, Mexico.
I'm Darian Gray. I'm a grad student at the University of Arkansas Palm Bluff, majoring in computer science. I also happen to be an intern for Ironhead Technology and Consulting.
Yes, my name is Jeremy Gray. I'm a student at UAPB, also in the graduate program for computer science. I'm also a disabled veteran, and that's it.
My name is Cameron Wallace. I'm also a student at the UAPB, and I currently have the same major as well.
Okay, great. So what we want to do now is going to try to pivot a little bit on our topic. We were talking, it was mostly centered around education, and but that doesn't mean we won't go back to it in some way. But I want to pivot now about life itself, and we kind of stumble up on this idea, at least I did. I'm kind of leading them into this idea of when they're frustrated, when they're not able to reach some of the goals that they had designed for themselves, or people that encourage them to do, they're not making a headway. Sometimes young black males tend to gravitate to partners, and so they find a young lady that's really up and coming, and they find somebody that they can work with. They feel like they can be successful with them. They end up getting in a relationship, and of course they're in pursuit of house, home, family, and all those things. But there's a lot of things they don't know that they don't know. So that could be from one end to the other. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. What is it? What are some of the things, just in general? You two gentlemen have been able to travel a little bit through services, but that doesn't mean you don't have girlfriends and stuff like that. So what is it you didn't know that you didn't know when you start getting into a serious relationship, and how it affected your pursuit of your goals and desires in your life?
Child support.
Hey, well, I haven't got the
Dude, you don't want it.
just the time, need more patience. I'll say for me, certain things that I would say, I like to call it my logic or something. You know, it's not exactly the same to her. I could say something, but she might take it a certain way. There'd be different things, or maybe you want to study, but you want to go out trying to balance life. To me, I feel like you can't really tune in to who you. I feel like it's hard to be who you're trying to be when you with somebody else.
So you're talking about a relationship with a girlfriend, somebody, a significant girlfriend, and you didn't know that when you got in this relationship that it would start creating these kind of tensions in terms of your goals and aspirations and her goals and aspirations. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Oh, I was also about to say though, I wouldn't just say it as a negative thing, because it could also, from my standpoint.
You don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you don't want these women out there to say, wait a minute, if you wasn't for me, you wouldn't be doing nothing.
But yeah, it is a little strange, but it also could be a helpful advice. Maybe certain things you didn't know, or life, or just in general, that don't bring them on. I'll say for me, she taught me to have more patience with certain things. Like a lot of things where I would get up and move on a lot faster. Just having her, just made me it made me recognize what I say, how I said things, which could go over to people, workforce, friends. Like just not pushing anybody the wrong way. It made me be more mindful of myself, and how I display my attitude to other people, because it can change or affect their days.
I appreciated how you dance like Michael Jackson.
Learn from Chris Brown.
Anybody? Go ahead.
I say the biggest thing that I didn't know was conflict resolution is very important, and understanding in the sense of, you may say something that I don't agree with, but we have the understanding that, you know, this doesn't have to be the end all be all. Like, this doesn't have to end the relationship type of thing. So if somebody talks to me a certain way, I'm instantly mad. I'm instantly want to do this. Well, when you get in a relationship, that's depending on your type of relationship. You know, that's a woman. You can't react that way to that woman. And also respect. You have to respect how they feel about the situation. And because, you know, if it's just you, you can walk away and do whatever, but you have to respect their boundaries, their feelings that they've invested.
Yeah. Another thing I would say is being compromising, as far as like being aware of your partner or your significant other, and you know things of how it affects your mental, you know, because your mentality goes a long way as far as, you know, your relationship and how it affects your working environment and everything of that nature. So yeah.
Great, great.
All right, let me tell them the real. All right.
There are men that strive to be great. When you strive to be great, your focus is to make it happen.
Tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision. And that's a very real thing. When you're, and you guys will get this soon, when you get into the zone, when 5 minutes turn into 10 hours, but it feels like 5 minutes, there's a zone that you go through. And there's some, in this case, females, that they don't understand that. They want the attention, they want you to take them out, buy me something, etc. And then you realize, well, if you want me to buy you and do the nice things, I have to work and bring in the money. So what's the sacrifice? What's the thing? After time, though, when you go through things in life, for example, there was a point where I was homeless for a while. Don't nobody want you when you're homeless. There was a time when you have a struggle or you go through certain periods. Don't nobody want to listen to you or deal with you when you on that time. And then you start learning, no, I need to get myself straight. I need to get this established so that, you know, I'm not heartbroken or chasing something that eventually is going to go away. But then on rare occasions, you'll find someone that is your other side. They'll say, I got you. They're going to be patient. They're going to understand. I got you. So you don't have to do you don't have to do that. You won't have to. Like, it will be a natural fit. And she does her side, you do your side, and my experience is best when what your goals are complementing each other and you grow together. That seems to be the best. And if you guys can find that and don't waste your time with the others, trust me, it'll save you a lot of money. A lot of money, a lot of
Well, the thing is, then, so we want to know, how do you know? How, have you learned? Did you not know that you don't know how to pick a mate? And where did you learn whatever you think you know, but you learn later that you don't really know?
You said where?
Yeah, I mean, what information do you have? How did you come about deciding this young lady is someone I want to be in a real serious relationship, and she's going to compliment me. I'm going to support her. She's going to support me. And then you find out, I didn't read all the tea leaves that she looked good, though. She looked good.
You learn after your first fight. That's how you know.
I say mine was probably after a lot of fights. Because I guess it was things that was just part of my personality that I just wasn't getting. And I think vice versa. So it's learning how to be interdependent. Like, I have to depend on you, you have to depend on me. But you never know until you actually get in there, because some people, they're raised to be independent. So everything is about what they do at that time, how they want to move. And then there's dependency. They don't move without somebody else. So it's learning how to be cohesive. And I think that doesn't happen until, like you said, when you start seeing the dark side of that person's personalities and how they put it towards you, as in a sense. So if you have a person you didn't know they was an angry person until you pissed them off, that's a needle mover right there, because it's like, oh, subconsciously your mind's telling, well, you've gone through this before, so you be used to this.
Well, shouldn't there be something you should have learned within your parents' relationship, your brother, your uncle, your sister, the man down the street? Why is it that we as black men have a difficulty preparing ourselves to decide, just because she looks good and she talks good, the dynamics of us are so contrary that it's going to create a problem. You know, the minute we come under pressure, then it's going to affect us. Why is it we don't get that information, and why didn't we get it?
I think we do get it.
Who do you get it from?
I got a lot of my information from my parents.
Okay.
And my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. And
What they tell you?
it's more so I was watching.
Okay.
Because as a kid, everything is subconscious. It's like, I don't ask the questions, hey, how do you do this, do that? I'm watching it. Maybe I don't know what I'm looking at to even be a conflict resolutionist, because I'm watching, hey, he do this, I'm doing that. So I subconsciously, when I get older, as soon as I run into the problem, I do the exact same thing that I've seen for years and years and years. And it's hard to ask, like, okay, well, before you go through, it's hard to ask. How?
Why is it other cultures do it though? They seem to get that information.
Well, with that information, I think when it comes to relationship, like everybody says, it's a two-way street. And I know we're talking about a man right now, but it also has to do with a lot how the woman, how she comes back at you with what you have to say. It does. It's not necessarily all about how you move and where you move, because even then you could go through everything and you could be treated as such. Another thing, not to be that person or the topic, with me being around and seeing other people, when I went to my first school, which is San Antonio, I noticed when a black woman is talking to another race of a man, she gives them just a little bit tad more grace.
Okay, say that again now. So you notice what now?
I said I noticed when a black woman is talking to a different race of a man, she gives him a little bit more grace.
Okay.
Just a tad bit more. Where if I would have said the same thing, it would have been an argument.
I've seen that before, and it was interesting to me. I like to kind of just have an open perspective, and it said, you know, they have another race of men that they extend a little more grace. So the question is, where does the code switch happen? Are they code switching for them, or are they code switching for us?
I say it could be a little bit of both. What people fail to realize, like, it's all biases, even to both sides. Just generally speaking, they might not like the announcer say it, but they see them as a trophy. Just how they try to put on to us that we see other cultures of women because the exotic, or it's a different look, so you take more pride in it. Which could be the case for some people and other people, but they automatically know, like, I have to go above and beyond because this man's not going to put up with it. Whereas, hey, you're a black man, I'm a black woman. You have no choice but to put up with me. This is what we have to do.
So, is that your perspective on what you see or what you've learned? Or?
Perspective of what I see, learn from households.
And what you've been insinuated in conversations?
All just the dynamic of when you're trying to talk or like, and this is a certain example too. When you in school and you're trying to talk to a girl and you're a nerdy guy, you like doing everything. Why is it? And don't get me wrong, everybody say girls love bad boys, but if I have to be honest with you, the only race that really generally love people really not really doing anything is mostly black women.
Now you got to say that again, because you got black women everywhere listening to what you're saying.
I said the only race that generally speaking that just naturally goes after, like, that naturally goes after people like bad. It'd be like, well, he just got locked. Not saying a person locked up can't change their ways or is just doing this, but you're the first person. You like, well, why all the athletes want to talk to a different type of women? Well, they went out for him. You didn't. You wanted little Johnny down the street that wasn't doing anything for himself. You can't be mad because you didn't put yourself in a position to talk to him. When the other guy wanted to talk to you, you wasn't good enough. You waited till you went through 6 to 7 other guys and tried to come back as if you was second pickings.
So you're saying the bad boy.
Yeah.
The bad boy concept. Okay.
Just
You know,
in general.
Yeah. So you're saying a lot of black women are looking for the bad. You know, they're a little edgy.
Yeah, I think that's for sure one of them though. You're not hard enough. Like even so.
You're too nice.
I think they, and I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying I think it's more so from childhood we are naturally rebellious, so we like things that are rebellious that we can look at into our music choices today. We like the people that are against love right now. We're against authority. We're against all of this. So if you are a representation of against that authority and against all of that, it comes off more as masculine. It's like maybe some people equate their masculinity to your like, I don't care about the rules. I make my own rules, my own thing, instead of, you know, we all know as men our masculinity. We can tell in the way you sit, the way you talk, the way you respect other people, and other people's respect for you. So you can be the nerd and still have all of that. You can still be masculine, but I think we're in such a gender war right now that we have no choice but to see it, because every time we turn on the TV or get online, or even if you hear these live conversations, it's all what they're not doing, what we're doing, and instead of, hey, we need to get back to each other, and getting back to each other isn't the easiest thing.
Yeah, you think that's by design? You think that's by design, by some force or some energy or some effort that encourages people of color to have these differentiations and conflicts? Because when we're divided, we can't focus. We need each other. We all need each other. Not just black people. We need humanity. But we seem to individually have our own little strifes with each other. Plus, we have the strifes with this group and that group and this group and that group. It's no wonder we have a hard time excelling to the next level.
I think it is by design, but I also think it's subconscious, what we're training ourselves to pick up, the content that we ourselves are choosing to pick up. So I can say, or somebody says, well, we're the only race that does this, and I can tell you, I don't just consume our content, so I look at other races, they're doing some of the same things that we're talking about, but
So
we're
you
choosing it.
That's interesting. You got anything you want to say right now? Okay. But I wanted to. So you're saying that we or somehow have inculcated this idea of listening to us for a certain frequency, and that's the only thing we listen for. And so we listen to, it's sensitive to somebody saying certain things. We're sensitive to certain behaviors and reactions. We react to it real quick. And so we are focused on a lot of energy that's not necessarily conducive to our success.
I think if we study more of what God put for us, a lot of the world's problems wouldn't even concern us, because I like to say, hey, this world is not ours, so whatever they got going on, it's not going to affect me, because one day Jesus has to come back. One day God has to, come see us by design. So,
Or he's saying this even now? Because
even now,
the universal force is saying, what are you going to do with all this you're seeing? How are you impacting your community, your neighborhood, your friends? Or are you waiting on some big government mechanism or some force to come in. We're free will creatures, and we've been given the power and authority to make decisions. And you're saying that we're kind of waiting, it's not going to affect me, but he's saying to us, I've given you the authority. So what are you doing with it?
Well, what kind of energy are you going to put out to change it? So, prime example, we having this talk right now, and that's something you wanted to, be echoed. So you found like-minded individuals to, echo that even further and get on the same frequency. So we have to have more of that.
Yeah, well, I think in from my perspective, that's we can't compete with the mecca medias that are sending this other signal out that we're being bombarded with. We've got to find a way, individual and collectively, to send a different signal that's more positive, more engaging, more in line with the creative force of life, so that we will think that way. And that's what I'm saying. What is it we don't know that we don't know? And one of the things you're just saying, we are on the wrong frequency. We're listening for the wrong things, and so we're getting the things that we're listening for because we haven't been trained to say, that's not what I should be listening. Why am I being drawn to? And back to this relationship thing with females, they're drawn to a certain kind of individual. We are drawn to a certain kind of female, right? And if we keep doing that, we should be able to say, why am I keep drawn to this kind of personality and this kind of energy, and it's not what I want?
Right.
Go ahead. Anybody else?
I think it's just not looking like not being able to look past looks. Like I'll say certain questions that other people ask themselves, like kids, trust funds. I also think it deals with parenting as far as that as well, because our parents don't think as far for the most part. You're only thinking about yourself and generation. The biggest knock that we have as a black generation that I will notice other cultures do, they think far along, even though they're not going to be here. If you ever listen to other black people will go through something and literally see, we literally get a thrill and thrive out saying, "Oh, I came from nothing and I made it something." Everybody want to make everybody start back at zero. Right? Nobody cares that little Tommy then got through 6 different generations, and then all been passed down to his dad, and he's making it. They're showing him the way. They're taking him to his company. It's nothing to be given back. Where you have a legacy to keep going. It's every time somebody has a kid, you start back off at 0. And sometimes it's a negative 5.
So there's no passing on?
No.
There isn't. And I think our generation, we get the flack a lot, but we're actually the ones that's trying to pick up, from other places and put the pieces together, because you see our generation talking more about life insurance. Oh, you need to pass down. You need to do a trust fund. You need to start a business and do this. I think we're starting to have that conversation more and more, even in relationships. I think it's just getting to the point where the noise is just so much. And some people, the noise is so much because that's what they live. That's what they live. So it's hard to. Like, well, I don't want to live that no more, so I can't listen to this type of music, I can't hear this type of discussion. It's hard to do that because that become our comfort. And so our success, back to the success, is always being outside of our comfort zone. You have to be able to leave that chair in order to go outside and get that nature and what God has for you. You have to.
So when you're a black individual, black male, and you are engaged in pursuit and you're getting exposure, you're interacting with other cultures, you're seen as a sellout, right?
Yeah, sellout.
Yeah, I mean, because you're interacting with other groups and cultures, and you're trying to learn something that I didn't get. That now I know I need this, and so I'm gonna sit around and I'm gonna engage and go to these little functions that they're having and see. Did you ever have the opportunity to be taught, how to eat, formal dinner and what fork to use and this,
It wasn't until I was grown.
I'm saying,
went overseas
back
to
in the
see
day, the church, the communities of faith used to do that. That was part of our training. You teach you how and what to eat. So when you get in these formal settings, you would know how to behave and act accordingly. Well, I don't know if much of that's going on anyway, but the same thing is true in just life. Finances, you're talking about raising. You can lose a lot of money. How many athletes out there that have made millions have tried to do it, but they didn't know what they didn't know? And so when they found somebody they thought was going to teach them or protect their money, what happened?
They stole from.
Because they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They just assume, well, I'm going to put this over in this 401k and we're going to do this and it's going to compound that for. They just assuming.
Sometimes you don't know the enemy. Sometimes you don't know the enemy.
That's true.
Sometimes you don't know the enemy's agents. So this person, the devil ain't never tried to just tell you up front, like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do to you. It's always somebody that's the closest to you, or somebody you think you can trust because they're experts in this. Like going back to that with the athletes losing their money. People in the industry probably already knew this person, but you're new to it, so you're gonna be the victim that they were at the same time.
I like to add on to that as well. The quote, like most people would say, like, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. I think that's our problem. Because, me and Andre was actually talking about this when we were sitting down and eating. You could be making 100,000, but if you spend 90,000, it doesn't really make a difference anymore. The first time one of us make money, we gotta show it off. We joan and laugh about, they ain't got no style, they ain't got no fashion, but you wasting most of your money on clothes.
Okay.
I say, Brandon, I was looking at this and it was like a statistic thing. It said even though black people in general make less money than most people worldwide, we're one of the biggest consumers.
We have the highest spending power.
We consume everything.
We bought the most Mercedes. Pandemic, we bought the most.
Most Mercedes.
What does that say? What does that say about?
You don't have a broke problem. You don't have a money problem. You got a spending problem.
Financial literacy and education. So I have a theory behind this particular subject. So media-wise, we have a perception of what a black man is, how he acts, and how he goes across, and how much he should make, because it's what we're constantly seeing. This is his personality. Then we have the same for a black female. This is how she should act, this is how she should look, dress, etc. So it's based off of what we're seeing constantly, because what we're seeing now is different than what was seen 60 years ago, right? You remember the long dress, exactly, right? So now when you have a black man and there's an excess of them, now you're looking for who stands out, and then you filter that. So on the behalf of the black women, it's okay, who's standing out? Well, I think a man should be like this particular rapper because they're making X amount, this is their personality, their bad boy, etc., right? But us as men, we don't make the normal man. We don't make our financial stride. We don't hit that until our 40s. So the men that are in their 20s all the way up to 40, we're trying to get there. But we're in a society where we want everything done now, as soon as possible. We don't want to wait. So assuming these females don't want to wait until you have X amount of money to be able to take care of me for that security. Well, we're trying to get there. What do you want us to do? We're trying. Well, no, I'm going to find the one that is there. Already there. But why are you going after the bad boys? Well, because he acts like the man that I think a man should be. And he could get there because he already has the qualities.
The potential.
Exactly. The potential to get there. Be a rapper, football player, etc. So I think that's my theory behind that. Why are we not on the same frequency? Well, we're kind of doing this now, where the female, they hit their
looks, we go for looks.
Yeah.
Their stride in their 20s, 30s, right? And then supposedly it goes downward when they're past their 50s, etc. We're doing this.
Because
And- go
I
on.
was about to say, because a quote where like people say, for me to be on a yacht, I have to work my butt off.
Yes.
For you to get on a yacht, you just have to have a nice dress on.
Yes.
That's the difference. You know,
And there's resentment behind that, right?
yeah, always, because you hear it in certain things. And I will say this, like most men, you don't put your woman on the honest. You don't expect her to go out her way and literally go bankrupt to do something for you. You would be like, no, I'm good. Even if it's your birthday, you would be like, no, you don't have to do that, babe. But for her, you know, it's no excuses. It's really nothing. And I noticed this. God, not to be put everybody in one case, but more guys are more in touch with reality than like when I see a girl buying her a rapper, like we don't idolize famous people as much as women. I noticed that. I picked up on that. Like a girl can see a guy, Jay-Z buy Beyonce this, and you'll see everybody comment saying, "I wish my man would give me a G-Wagon." Well, he works at Dollar General. How is he buying you a G-Wagon? Like, you just gotta be more. I think Instagram, Facebook, most sites, it just gets people out of reality. And normal
That's
people,
true.
like we hear people, like
That's true.
like when they say idolize, the most thing I realize with like we listen to actors, musicians as to be what back then was Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Like those are your top people. Your preachers, no black person. You say anything about right now, everybody want to tell you what a Christian is doing wrong. But if I mention a rapper, oh no, he good. He just killed 5 people, but you have no problem listening to him about skills.
Yeah.
But everything that happened in the church house was a problem for you. But that rapper talking about he just killed somebody, you could take literacy advice from him.
Well, let's go to the church then. So because that is where the absence of black men is most prominent when you're talking about the black church now, because it's been that way for eons. The women have consumed the work of the church, and you have the black men who are part of the church are rare, but the ones who are there, they're elderly, they're aging, and they're looking for a place. They've done everything they feel like they can do. Now they're trying to settle down. So why are there less black men in communities of faith? Let's just call them community of faith. Is it because of the hypocrisies that we've recognized and the failures that we present, that we see the inaccountability? Because we know that nobody's perfect, but the church itself seems to condone certain behaviors instead of saying, no, we're not going to have that here. We can't do that. Either you clean up and straighten up, or maybe it's other place you can go. We stopped doing that, and I think we do that in our communities now. We're allowing things in our communities that we never would. We're allowing all kinds of things that are contrary to our best interests. If you go to a so-called white community or other community, the community is orderly, it's usually kept intact. I'm noticing a phenomena that I'm seeing now more than I've seen in a long time is people used to put their trash cans, after they set them out, and the trash was picked up, they take their trash cans and put them back in their yard. I'm seeing more and more trash cans just left out on the curb in our rural minority community.
I hate that.
Yeah. What does that say? I mean, you leaving your trash can out 24 hours a day on the curb. It's no trash in, but you go get the trash and you leave it out there. That's a bad image. But I think it's systemic of our behavior and what we see and what we value. But in other communities, they keep their yards a certain way. They keep their things a certain way. There was a man. I don't know if Say McIntosh has passed on or not. I can't remember now. I know he was not doing well. But Robert Say McIntosh the first black senator, used to go around cleaning neighborhoods, and people thought that was so terrible until they realized what he was doing. He was trying to present this image that, what you see, affects how you respond to life and behavior. So, back to the church. Why there's a few black men in communities of faith? You think?
I have some say.
Okay.
I feel like it goes back to your upbringing or who you idolize as a child. Like I say, my grandmother, she's like my hero because she taught me just things that a grandmother should teach a grandson, and she taught me the value of going to church and just being a good citizen or a good deed, a person that does good deed. But I feel like the youth nowadays is just delayed because of like social media and things of that nature that take people off their goal or how they should act in general.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think
You gonna speak up
with the my bad. I think with the absence of the black male in church is because it doesn't feel welcoming for the black man. It feels more welcoming for the black woman, because when it comes to real manhood, it starts becoming about structure and all of this, discipline, authority. Once you become a man, it's like you start appreciating what that means. You'll start looking back to your childhood. It's like, man, why did I act like that? Because you'll see it in your child. I think fatherhood is what shows you, like, hey, this was you 20 years ago. This is exactly how you acted, or this is exactly how you didn't act, and it blows your mind, I guess, when you start seeing the absence of it in the church, because you grow up, when you did go to church, you saw it this way. It was strictly this, on time, we're gonna do this service, we're gonna run this, and now it's like, okay, who is that? Why are they in the church? Why does he have a gun on his waist? And you start seeing it, and it starts becoming just a show.
So it's entertainment now.
It becomes more entertainment.
Yeah, more entertainment and less worship.
And less of you hearing about, okay, prosperity is cool. We're all gonna be rich one day. This is what you're telling me if I believe hard enough. But why did God punish these people for doing this? Or tell me about my lineage through the word. The scripture is there. I don't understand it though. You're supposed to understand it. Can you teach me something? So it's like, what value do we get out of it?
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I think my little piece to that is learning profound eternal truths that are eternal, not just passing social structures at the time. And I think some of the profound teachings of not just the biblical writings, but other sacred writings present to us a historical, profound principles that if we can use them and we can learn them, they will apply from 5 years old to 100 years old, because they work within the structure of the universe itself and the one who created the universe. But we're not teaching it anymore. We're all about this reality TVs and all the things that we're looking at, but then we want this other stuff. And one of the questions I asked you when we were first meeting is, what was happiness? And you had this goal of achieving it, but our perception of happiness is flawed, because it's not just based on what we have. It's something that we have to have within us that expands and it responds to. Let me take a break and tell our audience who are watching, and what I like about this, we were talking about during the break, this is perpetual. And people that we don't even know will see this broadcast, hear you talking, and by chance, the universe will meet them at the right time, at the right moment. You'll say something that will cause them to think. That's why I think these kind of programs are so powerful, and not just this way, but at meetings and groups. We need to have black roundtable meetings with males who reestablish themselves as leaders within their community, so that people will at least see an example of what we should and could be. So we're inviting you to Tell your friends about it. This was just the first of several we are anticipating having with other that will be involved in this discussion, young black males. And we are looking soon to have a discussion with our young black females. And then one day, hopefully, we'll have it. Well, the black males and the females will come together, and we'll have a rare and good time talking about some of the particulars of our journey and why it is that we don't know what we don't know, but we need to know. Okay. Any other thoughts? We still got some time, and I just wanted to take a break. Would you introduce yourself again, because people will be coming in, picking it up, and leaving and coming back. But introduce yourselves again.
Jeremy.
Cameron.
Andre.
Daniel.
Done there. And so these, you guys are in school, or you out of school?
In school.
You're in school. You're in school.
Yes, sir.
You're in school. You've graduated, and you're working. You're a CEO, but you're in pursuit. But you're still in school. I'm still in school. And life is a school, and so we're still in school. All of us in school. Anything particular?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned church. So I created a school. I'm opening a school inside of a church. We just finished renovations of the entire roof. We're changing the floor and everything like that. We're really excited about it. But saying that, why do I think less of black males are going to the church? Yes, it's based off of incentive. I believe that a lot of us aren't. It's not changing our lives. It's not. And then I know I don't want to speak against the church. I really don't, and it's taboo. However,
Why is that? I'm a pastor, so I will. You just lay it out there as you perceive
I
it.
truly just said the same thing. He is catching a lot of heat because of what you just said. And that's being real. That's a real perspective when you see. I don't see how it's benefiting me if you're only talking about these couple things. That doesn't concern me because that's not my path. So teach me everything, not just what you think I want to hear.
Well, that's powerful. I'm going to let Andre
okay. That's why I
continue.
wanted to bow out.
No. I think that's important. You're exactly right, because black men are going to church, and they don't see any real change. They typically know the male pastor, and their interaction is not necessarily congruent, if you will. And so, but also, I've always complained, about the fact that the church should be helping the membership expand and grow. So everybody should be growing, right? And then you move on to something else. And that's what used to happen. Back in the day, 100 years ago, when you were at church, the community came together. They were supportive of your effort. They were supporting the kids. They helped you get into college. They were there supporting you. As a part of one of the mechanisms, I'm a part of one of the institutional churches. We're still supporting college graduates who are going to graduate school, so we send them money. We're still sending them money and supporting them. When they come out of school, they come back to the church, and then they do an internship to give back. Well, if you're not giving anybody anything, you're just taking, then you're right. What am we going there for? Yeah. So we have to change that model, and it starts with you guys. But the biggest thing, I think, for young black males like yourself, there are young boys and young girls who are starting a journey. Wouldn't it be a sad thing for you to know that young boy and young girl are heading over a cliff, and you could have at least said something to them that might have triggered them to think about it? They might still go over the cliff, but they can't say they didn't know. And that's where we're running into now. We don't even want to share information with each other because of our signals being canceled out some kind of way.
Well, okay, so I'll say this then. We've been a part of this very religion, Baptist. Most of us are Baptists for 400 or 500 years.
500 years, still redlining. 500 years, we still mass incarceration. 500 years, still difficult to get a job. 500 years, our communities are mostly in the same situations as they are now. So you have people like me, people like these gentlemen here. We want to do something about it. So I'm building my own school, and I'm going to say, this is how we should do it. This is how we can raise raise the community, how to share it, how to educate the community, et cetera, and create our own type of plan or structure, and then pass it over and say, all right, this is how we want things to be done, versus just complain about it and say, oh, well, pastor isn't good enough, or the church is just robbing money. Well, then, okay, how should things be? And show a blueprint of how to do it then.
Yeah, I'm all in support of if you want to take that step and that risk. My caveat would be this: since there are profound eternal principles, and if you know those principles or have some knowledge of where to study those principles, use those as your guideline, because we do have men and women who are starting their own thing. But I tell you one thing: some of them are just way off on other sides of the earth, of the world. They talk good, they sound good, but basically it's a scam. You know, so there's some core things that you must have in a true faith religion. There's some core things that must be taught, and that's what you should know. So then when you go into another community of faith and you're enjoying the service and the singers and the pastor, you're looking for those core foundational things within that church. How do they manage their money? Are people held accountable? Are people protecting each other? Are they looking after each other? Those are the things you're looking for. And so when you find that, then that's good. And then all other stuff is kind of gravy. But what's happening is young people don't know what to look for. It sounds good. They're jumping around, they're partying, they're feeling good, band singing and all. They're putting on a great performance. But like you said, they're not learning the core things that are going to sustain them through the life journey. And that is what the old dinosaurs like myself are trying to figure out a way to implant into the young generation, the younger generation like yourself. If you're going to do it, good. But have a foundation that has been consistently firm that you can stand on. Don't try to start something a new wheel when you don't have to. You know, don't try to step out on the end of the universe and create it, because you don't have to. It's already there for you, and that's what's important.
I agree with you. However, I think it's on both sides. How do you weed out the corrupt or the crooked pastors, and then how you weed out the people that just want to rob people's money? So, and then, you know, young folks is
I say by their fruit. Like, go back to the Bible. It said by their fruit. Like, I don't have to know what verse that is just to know, hey, this person seemingly doesn't provide in the community like he say he is. Like, you can tell if you watch long enough that, okay, so and so, he just a good talker. He sound good, but I don't see any fruit, and you're supposed to be trusted by your fruit.
But also, like, now, for the first time in history, like, this is extremely recent, like my lifetime, we now have access to all information ever posted by
everybody.
Correct. How is it possible for us as like a group to say, okay, this is the way that it should be, versus you're gonna have stranglers, you're gonna have people that try to take people away, or misinformation, then you have your politics in place. You know?
Yeah, well, let's just go back to you and technology. There is a protocol that you have to follow in order to get through certain mechanisms within technology, right? You can't do it without it. So, I mean, you can try it, but the way it's designed, there's a protocol that you got to go do this, you got to do that, you got to push this over here, and you got to slide that there, and then you got to hold this here. That's the way life is. That's the way the Creator made life for us. And so if we can hone in on that, what is the protocol? What is the platform by which we govern our lives? Then you can see all that stuff. You can see churches that talk a good game, but nobody's lives have changed. Miss So and so has been there for 35 years, and
Nothing changed.
she's on welfare right now, and the church has not figured out a way to insulate and support her. And we've got people from all over the world coming to this country, receiving all sorts of opportunity.
Wow.
And the people who are living here, who are, moving into their twilight years, are struggling, just trying to figure out how I'm gonna get my next meal tomorrow. And the children of those people are struggling as well, because we're all living in the same house.
I think that goes back to what I said, though. Just us in general not giving back. That's just a tender thing that I think is one thing that the black community has overall. Just like working in places, like you a server. Everybody says it and jokes about it, but there's no point to even talk nice with most black people, because you're not getting a tip regardless. Not giving back. Even me being in a fraternity, like
Yes.
with other fraternities, and if you go back to our fraternity, they just give back. Most people don't. Like you said before, it's a good thing, but for us, if we don't see it in our lifetime, we don't feel like it's worth it to nobody else. And that's the honest truth.
So what is it? There's a lineal, and then what's the other one? It's short term. So we just see little short, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't plan for. I ain't be putting my money in no building fund. I ain't gonna be here with.
Whoever
Point
plan,
from earlier, yes.
Yeah.
just like whoever plan, just like to make money. It's easy to make money, but it's hard to make money and keep some type of morals. That's the thing.
Is it?
You can do a lot.
Is
yeah.
it?
It's a lot easy.
Is it?
I can go out there and make myself a jackade and easily make money. I see people do it all the time. But because I have some type of thing in my head saying, nah, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want people to perceive me that way. You can go online right now. I got an iPhone. I can go out there smashing people's cars, making their jokes, and watch how fast I go up. Let me talk about something that's going to help somebody.
That's why you travel and then you start seeing needs that people have and you start seeing opportunities.
Yeah, you travel to it in order to see yourself and other people, and you can see yourself and other people in another environment that's better. It's like, oh, I can be this that I've always wanted to be. I just had to get away from the soil that I grew up in, but that soil actually helped me too.
Yeah.
So it's all about your perspective on life, and I think, like I said, travel and exposure is always going to be the biggest component, because you have to see other people in their environment and live that.
Andre, what's our for T2C, for people who are going to be watching this perpetually? They're going to write. They can send it to. Is it info? Time to consider. Is that one we want them to send it to?
They can. info@timetoconsider.org with the number 2. So info@timetoconsider.org.
So you can send future questions. You can make comments as well. You can make comments on YouTube. If those who are watching us on YouTube, as well as on the Time to Consider Facebook, as well as on our Time to Consider network. We're going to be wrapping up in just a moment. I really appreciate you guys coming out and just starting this conversation. There are other conversations all over the country. This is a region that I think needs it greatly. We're in a southern area. We're in Arkansas and Mississippi and Alabama and even some rural areas of Texas. I think that black men, young black men, need to see young black men as part of that exposure, doing something, but doing something with purpose, doing something that more connected to who and where they are in their journey, as opposed to the high flyers. Nothing wrong with that. They got up there, and that's wonderful. I'm happy for them. But, when you're flying up there by yourself, eventually you're going to have to come back down. And when you come back down, you're not going to be recognized by those who you're going to need to help you, because we still need to be together. We still need to help each other through the journey. And we're just talking about humanity as a whole now. Let me answer this question as we close our thought. So you guys you're not, are you millennials? Or are you Zens?
Millennials.
You're millennials. So what does How does the millennium of black males today, how do we navigate through all this is happening today? What would be some of your suggestions to young men your age in college, or maybe uh, frustrated with college and school, and you're trying to decide what to do next? What kind of advice would you offer them in general?
The advice I would have to give: don't fall into the hype, even if it's at a slower pace. Keep going your pace. Don't let anybody make you go any faster than what you have to go.
Anybody else?
I would say don't be afraid to ask for help. You see somebody move in a way that you would love to move, then approach them. A lot of people that are in positions, they don't mind helping the ones that show any initiative. So you have to have initiative to even just approach and ask.
I say being able to dialogue more with people, as far as like a group, or just get people to connect more on a basis, as far as where you trying to reach, or your end goal, basically.
Socialize, being
Yeah,
getting
work.
comfortable, socializing, learning how to engage people, and even if you are kind of introverted, shy, that should be your pursuit, because you're trying to gain knowledge and information.
Well, my great grandma, 8th grade education, she said, she said, don't point with the dirty finger. But the other thing is, God will never give you more than what you can already handle. And that stuck with me throughout all this just trials and tribulations and wanting to give up and endless nights and frustration. But that, for whatever reason, that always stuck with me. God will never give you more than what you can already handle. My advice, though, especially for you gentlemen, would be, if someone insults you, that means they're scared of you. That means you got their attention. That's one. Number two, speak with confidence, but listen. Always be confident. Always be confident in yourself, but always be willing to listen. And the third would be, if you ever have the opportunity to travel, which I always say this to you, take it. Always travel, always meet new people, always look for ways to improve on yourself and for other people as well. And I ended up in the country of Mexico. I thought it was full of just cartel members and dead bodies on every street corner. And I ended up in a place where I fell in love with it, and I decided to leave a safe government job to fly there and take a risk, because I reached a point to where a lot of people were saying no or you can't. And then I found a place where they said, come because you can. And that stuck with me as well. So there isn't a limit. You can create your own school if you want to. You can develop a Netflix platform if you want to. You can create your own wrestling federation if you want to. You can go to the Secretary of Economy and say, I'm going to help your own economy, because you don't know how. Don't ever accept no. There's always a way. You find that, and that's what I got.
Okay. Well, great. I would just add to the fact that finding and continuing to cultivate that inherent drive within your spirit that cancel out all the noise and continues to keep you hungry, continues to give you that pursuit for the best of life. The best of life does not necessarily mean the most lavish life. It does not mean the most happy, the most perceived happy life, but it means that the force that controls the universe itself, if you're in line with that force, you probably at the best place you're going to ever be, because there's no force that's greater than that. So the force that controls the universe, it's God, Jehovah, however you look at that force, if you can gain and get as close as you can to that force and that source, that's going to be your best opportunity to achieve and fulfill your calling and your purpose. And that's what's so important to me in my journey, and it helps to sustain me in, thus far. And I've learned to really lean and depend on it more. And that's why I keep, when we close this thought, and you'll hear me say it more, it's profound, eternal principles of life. Because that source is the profound, eternal principles. And so if you have that relationship with that, God, Jesus, however you perceive it, because you know what? Omnipotent force don't care how you refer to it, because it knows if you're referring to it in a way that you don't know, you hadn't developed the relationship yet. But once you've developed a relationship, it's for the purpose of others, because you and him already know each other. When you know mom, you don't call her Miss So-and-so. She's mama. You don't have to refer to her as Miss So-and-so, because the relationship you have is so secure that you know each other. And that's where your relationship with your Creator and with the force that sustains all of us. So when you have that relationship, you don't have to go out of your way to try to prove this, that. You live your life. And I guarantee you, they'll see that you have a relationship. And I'm gonna do a little scripture highlight here. When those who were following the great prophets and the masters of the journey of life, they want to know, who are you serving? Who's your God? Because that's the God I want to be with, because that God seems to be doing something for you. And the same thing you were saying about the church, the community faith. What church do you go to? Because that's the church I want to go, because you guys seem to be doing something. And that's the kind of relationship we want to have in our communities with our neighbors. And I want to go to that neighborhood. I want to go to that country. I'm going to risk everything I have. I'm sending my infant children to that place, because that place is an opportunity for me to experience the best of life. And then we are here, and we doing what? Complaining every day about everything. Any final thoughts? Somebody's blowing up my phone. Let's see if we can find out what great things they want to say. Go ahead, you guys talk. I'm gonna close that. Any other final thoughts?
For me, it's an honor to be with you guys, to have this conversation with all of you, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to say I definitely had a great time having this conversation with everybody in the room.
Wonderful.
I say the same thing. As cliche as that might sound, I really enjoyed this conversation, and it broadened my view on things. So.
Well, I hope that when you see it again and you see yourselves again, and the next time we come back, you go, okay, I got it now. I know I'm okay now. I know what I'm gonna do now, and when people see you, I'll say this. I'm gonna close it with this. Some of our own air observers are offering you, saying you did a great job, and they really appreciate the comeback, and they got a lot of feedback. So when I started Teen Talk back in the '90s with little kids, and those young kids started traveling the state and the country, they could not believe the impact they were having on other teenagers who were sitting and listening to them. And I would say the same to you. You guys sitting here, I know you might not see it completely, but there are people, again, I keep reminding you, the universal force of life is using your life, our engagement, to hopefully have an impact on others. We don't know how, but like you're saying, we don't have to know how. We can be assured that we're doing what we think is in the best interest for both ourselves and the future of not only ourselves but others as well. And that is where the universe conspires with you to ensure that you're successful. And of course, I'm waiting to see the outcome of where Andre is in his journey, so that he can be an example. Deniri?
Yes, sir.
Jeremy.
Jeremy and
Cameron.
Cameron. I hope that we'll be able to have another discussion. We'll script it a little bit more. We'll narrow it a little bit more, and hope you get some feedback from others in your community. Because you're from where?
Pine Bluff.
You guys, Pine Bluff? Okay, so we need to get some Little Rock interaction here. So you guys in Little Rock and surrounding areas, we need you to come on in. We could have a big party, you know, Little Rock and around the state coming to our talk. We hope soon that we'll have interaction by phone as well as we know we have it online, so we can get some more direct the feedback. So that real-time feedback, so you guys can respond. Somebody said, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, and we can respond to that right away. Final thoughts. That's, again, nothing. Okay. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can get my system up, so I can switch us back to our live automation, and you'll be able to see some programming there. And while I'm doing that, nobody has nothing to say. I'm supposed to help the host out a little bit, and so it won't be no
so
lag
your
time.
computer science degrees, when they told you guys, hey, when you get this degree, this is what's available for you afterward, what was that feedback? What was that suggestion? Or what did it tell you?
So I got my undergrad and my bachelor's in computer science. My advisor was like, "Oh, you can make 60,000." That was the dream. And he was telling me about somebody who was making 80,000. I'm like, wow, I've never seen that kind of money. And then I get out there, my first job was like 33 to teach. And I think my next one was 50. And you know, I still get offers, but that's been around to stay here, to stay in kind of like the southeast part of Arkansas. So I tell my wife this: I gotta move if I want to make the real money that's really being promised out there. I gotta go. If I want to make six figures, actually, I have to leave. I can't just make it here. But with COVID, it's kind of become more and more possible to not have to move to make it. But even that's with my master. Hopefully, to get my master's to make that. So I think when you're from a small town, it's 50 is good. You know. 50 is great.
I think for me, and this is why I applaud Andre on this about all the time. It's really, it been helping me. Even when I talk to Cam in the gym, it's like building my confidence. For me, for the longest, I'm like, I'm about to graduate and I don't feel like I know anything. I'm even on the right track. I almost know something. Like, that was my biggest thing. It's like, could I actually walk in there and be confident and have a full interview with somebody? Yeah, I think that was, like, for me, that was one of the things I had to, like, that was, like, on my list. Like, this year, like, I got to get that done. Got to build my confidence where I'm able to walk in a room and know, like, whether I get it or not, I did my best. Because it was times I'm like, I don't even know if I'm even saying what I was supposed to say.
Well, fantastic. It relates you back to that internal source and force, even when you're not saying anything. That force seems to translate for you in a way that you don't know sometimes. So I want to encourage you to continue to develop that relationship with the universal creative force of life, God, Jesus, however you pursue it, because it's going to be invaluable. You won't be able to put a price on it in the future in your journey. Hey, that's it for us. Time to consider. This is young, gifted black men. We were talking about things that we don't know, but we need to know. We're going to continue this discussion in the future. We invite you to be a part of it in the coming days. We'll probably get communications out to you, and we'll be figuring out a way to do that. Andre will be communicating with us from across the lands, I'm sure, if he's able to, and I hope these young men will come back again. So we're going to say good evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Show me your face, fill up this space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now. I can't escape.
I think more of what we need to know what the feedback is, because like this is something new.
Yeah.
I think it was good.
So how the mic's on?
No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
Okay, so how you set up this network, like from the computer to?
Oh, and so in there's an encoder, excuse me, so they call it an encoder. From there, you're able to switch what's being broadcasted here, and it's basically click of a button.
Okay, yeah. I saw those things just click one button. And it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So you can connect.
It's only 4 weeks, knowing how to play at least 2 or 3 scales by memory. So that is a very big deal, because what we try to preach is getting college scholarships. And to get the college scholarships, these students have to know all of their skills, and they have to be able to recite, read music. So those are the skills that I taught on the 16 days here. The rest of these students are either high school or they're like really, really good rising middle schoolers. Like my cousin over there, Javier, he's only going into the 9th grade, so he hasn't even touched the high school campus yet, and he can already play the horn like he knows to play the horn. Then we have a couple young ladies, except for Lisa, who don't really do too much with the band at their respective schools, but they're so hungry for it that they've really been teaching themselves and pushing themselves to the next level. So let's keep it pushing. We're going to do a collegiate level piece. This is called Them Bases. It is a march. It is customary that you learn a march in any, upstanding band program, because a march is where the band idiom came from. Okay, so this is something by G.F. Huffing. We hope you enjoy. Them Bases. This will feature, obviously, the low brass stand up. Let's clap it up for Lowe's.